over the target, bombs away. Multiply this scene 1,000-fold, and we can grasp the magnitude of the Allied air power that crushed Nazi Germany. Since August 1942, when a handful of fortresses flew the first combat mission of the 8th Air Force, formations of American heavies and their fighter escort relentlessly carried the war against a maze of targets in a shrinking Nazi Europe. Day after day, with growing might and effectiveness, these forts and libs and fighters wore down German industry and organization. The story of air power over Europe has been told in countless tales of courage and skill. But victory had its price, for the Nazi was determined to exact a heavy toll from our airborne ranks. We made every effort to reduce this toll. Most of our aircraft returned to home base safely. Some, less fortunate, limped home torn by flak and enemy fighters, their wounds mute tribute to the American craftsmanship that built them. Others, not so lucky, fell prey to Nazi flak and fighters over enemy territory. But our story concerns those who nearly made it back, those straggling, crippled bombers and fighters who were forced down at sea, and what was done to save them. This fort, Tiger A. Able, is in trouble. The pilot gives the emergency signal. The crew prepares to ditch as the burning plane nears the treacherous water. But the sea doesn't claim this crew, for a rescue launch miraculously appears, takes the crew aboard, and sets course for England. How is it done? This room is the focal point of air-sea rescue. From here, all actual rescue work is controlled. Hours before takeoff time, while bomber and fighter crews are being briefed on today's mission, this officer is plotting from the field order the timings and overwater routes the aircraft must take on their way to and from the target areas. From these routes and timings, individual patrols for rescue launches, spotting aircraft are determined. Here, the officer is shown pinpointing the positions of these units of air-sea rescue. While this information is being plotted, the Air-Sea Rescue Liaison Sergeant alerts the Royal Navy and passes essential data from the field order. He advises the number of boats required for the mission, the area the boats are to cover, and the time they are to be on patrol. The Royal Navy alerts the necessary motor launches and in turn calls the RAF high-speed launch bases and assigns them patrol areas. Now the Royal Navy and RAF boats put out to sea and head for their assigned positions to start their long, cold watch. Next, operations at the Emergency Rescue Squadron is alerted. Here are based the air-sea rescue aircraft that do the actual spotting and rescuing of the airmen who have been forced down at sea. Having received the necessary data for today's mission, operations alerts the pilots and crews of the rescue aircraft. These specially equipped Thunderbolts are called spotter aircraft. They work in pairs and are on patrol at pre-designated points before the first mission aircraft leave the English coast. They carry droppable dinghies and smoke floats. They also provide fighter cover for the slower and more vulnerable rescue aircraft and launches. When they jettison their rescue equipment, they're a match for any hostile craft who might venture into the area. The Catalinas have patrol areas along the overwater routes the mission aircraft take. They are used for quick rescues when conditions at sea allow for a water landing. As the Thunderbolts leave the ground, flying control at the field immediately notifies Air-Sea Rescue Control that the planes are airborne. The airborne times are then posted on a special status board. The same procedure is followed with the Catalinas. As they take off, control at Air-Sea Rescue is notified in the same manner, and the airborne time is again posted. The planes head toward their prearranged patrol points, and on arriving there, Control is called and time in position is reported. This too is posted on the status board. Now, with the high-speed launches of the RAF and the motor launches of the Royal Navy in position, and the Thunderbolts and Catalinas of Air Sea Rescue in position, the stage is set for a distress call. So let's return to our burning fort, Tiger A. Able, and see just how an actual rescue operates.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Tiger A. Able.
Roger A. Able, Air Sea Rescue here. What is your trouble?
A. Able here, on fire, going to ditch.
Understand. Transmit for a fix. Over.
Tiger A. Able, going down. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
Simultaneously with Air Sea Rescue Control, fixer stations situated along the English coast have received bearings on Tiger A. Able. This is one bearing, the second bearing, another bearing. Once determined, the 3 or more bearings on Tiger A. Able are immediately called through by hot telephone lines to a room near Air Sea Rescue Control. Here, men working over a circular map plot the bearings on Tiger A. Able. This is done by drawing a string from the fixer station's position on the circular map along the bearing telephoned them by the fixer station. This process is known as triangulation. Where 3 or more strings cross, that is the plane's position. This fix is now recorded and called into the Air Sea Rescue Control Room, where it is plotted for the controller. We now know Tiger A. Able's last position. Meanwhile, the bomber has ditched, and the crew has set out a smoke float.
Teamwork 7-0 from Colgate. Come in, please.
Roger, Colgate. 7-0 here, standing by.
Colgate to 7-0, stand by. I will give you the ditching position. Teamwork 7-0, steer 1-2-0 for 45 miles.
Roger, steering 1-2-0, out.
So Teamwork 7-0 drops down over the water and sets course for the crew of Tiger A. Able. Constant contact is maintained between Teamwork 7-0 and the Air Sea Rescue Controller. Eyes are alert for a sign of the dinghy. Speck on the water. There they are, and the rescue proceeds. Once the rescued men are aboard, Teamwork 7-0 takes off and sets course for base. Immediate medical attention is given by the flight surgeon. So so that Catalina heads safely for home. Meanwhile, this fighter pilot has maydayed. His call for help has been received, and the process of determining his position and of his subsequent rescue are well underway a few seconds after his last message, "I'm bailing out." The strings cross. Here is our fighter. The position is phoned through to control. Even before the pilot hits the water, his location is known.
Colgate to Teamwork 3-1, over.
Teamwork 3-1 to Colgate. Over initial point, 5,000 feet.
Roger, steer 110, 30 miles. Fighter pilot bailed out. Seagull 29 is 4 miles southeast of Mayday position.
Roger, Colgate. We'll steer 110, 30 miles. Seagull 29 from Teamwork. Over.
Seagull 29 here.
Seagull 29, man in water 4 miles northeast. Over.
Roger. We'll nip over and have a look.
So Seagull 29 does nip over to have a look. In the meantime, the fighter pilot. And so the search starts. Keen eyes sweep the vast areas of the North Sea, where a man in winter may survive no longer than 20 minutes. Speed is essential. Here again, constant contact is kept with Air-Sea Rescue Control. What's that?
Hello, Colgate. Teamwork 3-1 here. I think I have sighted the dinghy. I'm going down to take a look. Hello, Colgate. The pilot is in his dinghy and looks okay. The boat is in sight.
Good work, Teamwork 3-1.
And so the Thunderbolt orbits the dinghy, keeping it always in sight, until Seagull 29 can get there to make the actual rescue.
Good job.
There are times when it is impracticable for a Catalina to land. Sometimes the sea is too rough or the dinghy too close to the enemy coast. When these factors are present, the droppable lifeboat is used. And now A.F. Warwick drops his boat. An American Fortress drops his. Both types have been used successfully in the North Sea. These boats have a gasoline engine and sails as well. There is food, dry clothing, a radio, extra gasoline, medical supplies, and other useful equipment on board. Once aboard, the crew can get underway quickly and pull away from the hostile coast to a point out of range of the enemy guns to rendezvous with a rescue launch that has been diverted by control to pick them up and bring them home. Oftentimes, a plane, though badly shot up, can make it to home base under its own power. In this case, Air-Sea Rescue Control will furnish Thunderbolt escort to see the big friend either safely home or to be on hand in case further trouble develops.
Hello, Air-Sea Rescue. Boxcar H. Howe here. One engine out. Don't know if I can make it. Can you help?
Roger, Boxcar H. Howe. Transmit for a fix. Over.
Okay, Air Sea Rescue. H. Howe here. I'm at 12,000 feet on 3 engines. Indicated airspeed 120. Transmitting for a fix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over to you, Air Sea Rescue.
Roger, Thunderbolts will meet you.
In these cases, fixes are obtained on both the plane in trouble and the Thunderbolt. Control then directs the courses of the two planes until they're in visible contact. Thus,
H. Howe from Teamwork, coming in on you now from 6 o'clock. Same level. Over.
Roger, little friend. Boy, am I glad to see you.
and so this Liberator limps home with the knowledge and satisfaction of having these air-sea rescue aircraft flying alongside him in case of any further difficulty. What we have seen here is typical of many days in the war against the enemy. The air-sea rescue controller must often carry on several rescue operations simultaneously. These four methods of aid and assistance are ever ready, and new aids are being developed. Thus, in this alert, quick-thinking control staff is realized a new motto that holds true wherever Americans fly and fight. Airmen are not expendable needlessly.
Ten men to a ship, the combat team. 10 men blending together like a good jazz band. Pilot and co-pilot, bombardier, navigator, engineer, radio man, photographer gunner, waist gunner, ball turret gunner, and tail gunner. The ground men pull the chocks and the first plane hauls her nose round into the wind. The others behind her, following each other like a herd of elephants out of a water hole. The fortresses seem to flatten down, gathering way and lift, out toward the continent, out toward the enemy. The ground crews watching and hoping, their half of the job done. Now the ship's at operating altitude, squared away on course in formation. Keeping station, each plane helps to cover the others. Together they make one round, bristling hedgehog of fire. The pale, glimmering English sun and the English fields checkerboarded below. Americans from Massachusetts and Idaho and Kentucky, a long, long way from home. The target is Rouen, the railroad yards. They come in from the northeast in tight formation, very high, invisible from the ground, and make their bombing run as the flak leaps up. away, the bombardiers shout. They group in elements of 3 for the run home. Mission accomplished. All B-17s return safely. More raids followed. August 19th, 1942. B-17s over Nazi fighter base at Abbeville in support of Dieppe raid. Aerodrome and fuel tanks fired. Buildings razed. Return with full complements. Mission accomplished. August 21st, 1942. 11 B-17s without fighter escort attacked over North Sea by 25 Focke-Wulfs 190s. 3 enemy fighters destroyed. 9 more probably destroyed or damaged. 1 Fortress pilot killed. Co-pilot wounded. August 27, September 7, October 5th. A fortress named Phyllis attacked by 40 Focke-Wulfs, 2 engines out of commission. A third later failed over the channel. 3 shell holes in rudder, 3 more in stabilizers. Controls partly shot away. Landing gear smashed. 200 holes in fuselage, but Phyllis came home. October 10th, more than 500 United Nations planes, 100 or more fortresses bombed locomotive and steel works at Lille. 4 bombers failed to return. American bomber crews credited with at least 48 German planes, probably 38 others, damage to 19 more.
World War II witnessed the emergence of a third dimension in warfare, in which the air became a primary theater of operation in addition to the land and the sea. Air power performed a dual role. One function involved direct cooperation with ground and surface forces to defeat the enemy's armies in the field, commonly called the tactical use of air power. The other function involved an independent striking force created to wage air war against the opposing air force, and to destroy as the resultant exploitation of air victory his resources, industrial capacity, and will to make war. 17 August 1942, strategic air power was born. At 1526 hours, the first daylight mission from a base in England was launched. "12 flying fortresses carrying about 18 tons of bombs, destined for railroad marshalling yards at Rouen. This was the initial test of the air offensive by day against the powerful German Air Force. Could strategic bombing be maintained? Would it achieve its objective? The answer roared over Germany just 1 year later to the day. 180 forts on their way to Schweinfurt. 3 months later, 228 forts carried 500 tons of bombs to the same target, bringing strategic air power to an impressive peak in the campaign against German aircraft production. The factories at Schweinfurt produce 52% of the total number of anti-friction bearings manufactured in Germany. This concentration of critical production capacity caused the Allied Chiefs of Staff to assign a top priority to the target. At this time, the long-range fighter had not been developed. Fighters did not accompany the bombers to the target area. This day saw the proof that the heavy bomber could not effectively defend itself, and made the development of the long-range fighter an essential to our strategic bombing success. Wave after wave of enemy fighters attacked the unescorted bombers. The target was intense, but good visibility enabled the forts to make an accurate run. and all 500 tons were dropped in the target area.
The bombing was very heavy that day. Many buildings were demolished by high explosive bombs. There was much fire from incendiaries. However, our flak batteries and fighters shot down 62 bombers, inflicted major battle damage upon 17, and damage in varying degrees in 121 more. Personnel casualties in the attacking force must have been large.
599 killed and 40 wounded. A costly day. This had been the heaviest single clash between air forces to date. It's estimated that the enemy lost more than 300 fighter aircraft during the operation. But the fact that this impressive effort to break a vital link in the German war economy failed in actuality is by no means the full measure of its impact upon that economy. It was originally planned to destroy this target in one raid, but the then existing size of our Air Force could not sustain the great losses inflicted upon it, and so was prevented from taking advantage of a follow-up attack to destroy the ball-bearing industry. However, the shattering raid of 14 October shocked the Reich officials into immediate action and led directly to the dispersal of industry from Schweinfurt and other centralized districts. This dispersal of industry made possible the success of the Allied air campaign against transportation and communications, which in turn brought the German nation to its knees. The history of United States air power will always honor the bloody summer of 1943. Because of the very heavy losses in personnel and aircraft incurred during the Schweinfurt attacks, penetrations beyond the range of fighters were suspended. It was clear that the success of future strategic campaigns and the invasion of the continent depended upon the elimination of the Luftwaffe. The P-47 was equipped with wing tanks, which extended its range 300 to 400 miles. The long-range P-51 fighter, capable of escorting the striking force to and from its objective, put in an appearance toward the end of 1943. After a lull during the fall of 1943, when increased numbers of P-51s were being assembled in the United Kingdom, we were completely equipped to effectively carry out the campaign against German fighter production. Attack against airframes was decided upon because airframes as a target system appeared more accessible. Intelligence with regard to engine production was not as thorough. The Erler plant at Heidelberg, Leipzig was the office and original factory of the complex making 40% of the Me-109 fighters turned out in Germany. The Erler plant was attacked twice during February 1944 and once 4 months later in June. Attacks also were made against two other plants in the Erler complex, those at Machen and Delitzsch.